So you just saw the brawl, the hard foul, the benches clearing, the ejections, and if you believe the headlines, that's the whole story. The WNBA fined Sophie Cunningham.
So, you just saw the brawl, the hard foul, the benches clearing, the ejections, and if you believe the headlines, that's the whole story. Sophie Cunningham was fined $400 by the WNBA, and the league moved on. Case closed, right? Not even close. For those of you who've been connecting the dots these past few weeks, you know something deeper is happening here. That $400 piece of paper wasn't a punishment, it was a lottery ticket. And it just exposed a $50 million lie the WNBA has been trying desperately to keep hidden. This isn't a story about a foul. This is a story about a broken financial system, a system so upside down that one player can make more money by breaking the rules than the entire league does by enforcing them. And the truth it exposes is so dangerous, it threatens to burn the whole league to the ground. Let's follow the money. It all started on June 17, 2025. The Indiana Fever were dominating the Connecticut Sun, up 88-71 in the final minute. The game was essentially over. But that's when the message sending began. Sun guard J.C. Sheldon, a longtime rival of Caitlin Clark from their college days, poked Clark in the eye. Then, in the chaos that followed, another Sun guard, Marina Mabrey, shoved Clark to the floor. The referees handed out a flagrant one to Sheldon and a technical foul. Mabrey, however, was allowed to stay in the game. That moment right there created what insiders call a vacuum of authority. The officials had clearly lost control. And that's when Sophie Cunningham made a decision. With just 46 seconds left on the clock, she stepped into that power vacuum. She delivered a hard, deliberate foul on Sheldon, wrapped her up, pulled her to the ground, and made it clear that if the refs wouldn't protect Clark, she would. The benches cleared. Cunningham was ejected. And the league later fined her $400 for the flagrant 2. Now here's where the numbers get crazy. That $400 bet triggered the greatest personal payday in WNBA history. Within 48 hours of the incident, Sophie Cunningham's personal brand exploded. Her TikTok following tripled, jumping from 400,000 to 1.2 million. Her Instagram gained 350,000 new followers. Her number 8 Fever jersey completely sold out on Fanatics. One marketing agency estimated that acquiring that level of engagement through traditional advertising would cost over $1 million. Sophie Cunningham turned a $400 fine into a 7-figure branding windfall in less than 2 days. She didn't just gain followers. She became an icon. A hero. The enforcer who stepped up when the league wouldn't. While Cunningham laughed all the way to the bank, the WNBA, the very institution that fined her, was drowning in red ink. And that brings us to the lie. The $50 million lie. Because while Cunningham was building a personal empire off one foul, the league itself, despite having the most watched, most talked about season in its history, was still reportedly losing between $4 million and $50 million. Let that sink in. More eyes are on the WNBA than ever before. More coverage. More sponsorships. More attention. And yet, the league is still bleeding money. How is that even possible? The answer is a paradox. And her name is Caitlin Clark. Let's be brutally honest and filter out the fluff. The media narrative that the WNBA's growth is being driven by an entire rookie class or a league-wide talent boom. It's a fiction. The data says otherwise. In 2024, viewership on ESPN platforms surged by 170%. Of the 21 games that drew over 1 million viewers, 18 of them featured Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever. When Clark missed 5 games in June 2025 due to injury, league viewership didn't just decline, it plummeted by 55%. She isn't just a part of the success story. For all intents and purposes, she is the success story. So, naturally, you'd think the league's most valuable asset, the woman single-handedly carrying its business model, must be the highest-paid player in the league, right?
Wrong.
In 2025, Caitlin Clark's official WNBA salary is $78,666. That's not a typo. Sophie Cunningham, The enforcer who protected her and turned a flagrant foul into $1 million brand earns a $100,000 WNBA salary, more than Clark. Let that marinate. The woman who defended the league's most valuable star earns more than the star herself from the league. Meanwhile, Clark's true market value is being revealed through her off-court deals, like her 8-year, $28 million Nike contract. The WNBA is getting billion-dollar talent at entry-level pay. So ask yourself, does a system where Sophie Cunningham earns more from the WNBA than Caitlin Clark make any sense? Let me know your honest thoughts in the comments. Because this isn't just a pay gap, it's a reality distortion field. And it's created a bizarre new environment where the rules of success have been completely rewritten. This brings us to the real breakthrough, the economic model hiding in plain sight. We are witnessing the birth of a new era of sports finance, something I call narrative-driven value. In this new economy, a player's marketability isn't driven by their stats. It's driven by their proximity to Caitlin Clark. Whether you're her hero, her rival, or her enforcer, if you're in the Caitlin Clark cinematic universe, your value skyrockets. And Sophie Cunningham is the ultimate case study. Let's look at her performance. For the 2025 season, she's averaging around 5 points and 4 rebounds per game. Solid role player numbers, nothing spectacular. But none of that matters. Because with one highly visible act of enforcement, that foul, she became a narrative powerhouse. Her Spicy Sophie nickname? Now a brand. Her black belt in Taekwondo? Now backstory. Her tough, gritty playing style? Now intellectual property. Her stats became irrelevant. Her narrative contribution became everything. She didn't just create a moment. She created a playbook. One that shows other players how to game the system. How to use the outrage and drama surrounding Caitlin Clark for personal brand growth and financial gain. And that's the league's new crisis. Because how do you police a sport when players have figured out that breaking the rules is more profitable than following them? The WNBA is being backed into a corner. And now, even its most respected leaders are showing cracks. This isn't just confusing for us narrative analysts, it's igniting a civil war inside the league itself. Coaches are fighting through the media. Publicly. On one side, Indiana Fever head coach Stephanie White. She didn't just tolerate Cunningham's actions, she celebrated them. She praised Sophie as the team's emotional X-factor. She embraced the narrative. And in doing so, she didn't just back her player, she helped rewrite the rules.
Oh my God, Sophie's a dog. She just is, she's a competitor. She's versatile, so she allows us to do different things. Like, she plays with such a toughness. She's huge, and she's going to be for us all.
But on the other side of the battle line, you had Connecticut Sun head coach Rashid Mezian, who saw the exact same event and called it a complete disgrace. He labeled Sophie Cunningham's foul stupid and disrespectful, arguing that committing a stunt like that while already winning by 17 points was classless and unsportsmanlike. So now you have two head coaches, Stephanie White and Rashid Mezian, offering polar opposite interpretations of the same moment. But perhaps the most important voice in all of this didn't even come from someone on the court that night. It came from Las Vegas Aces head coach Becky Hammon, one of the most respected basketball minds in the sport. Hammon didn't defend Cunningham's actions, but she explained them. She stepped forward and gave voice to the frustration felt by every player in the league, stating, "There's too much bumping, too much grabbing, too much fouling that's not getting called, and people are tired of getting hit. This is what happens." That's not a sideline comment. That's a direct shot at the league office. Becky Hammon was making it clear that officiating in the WNBA has collapsed, and that this breakdown has left players with no choice but to take matters into their own hands. She wasn't condoning the foul, she was diagnosing the systemic failure that made it inevitable. This isn't just a player problem, it's a league problem. So let me ask you, who do you think is right in this escalating war of words? Are you with Coach White, who supported her players' loyalty? With Coach Mezian, who called for restraint and sportsmanship? Or with Coach Hammon, who pointed to the broken foundation that forced players into these roles in the first place? Cast your vote in the comments. Because this division is more than philosophical, it's existential. It has pushed the WNBA into a strategically impossible position, forcing a choice that could determine the league's very future. And that choice is this: should the league follow the